As a cardiologist, walking is just absolutely imperative for a lot of reasons. A lot of the risk factors that contribute to coronary artery disease and therefore heart attacks and heart failure can be significantly treated, or prevented, cured by walking.
You are listening to Veggie Doctor Radio, and this is episode number 160. Welcome to Veggie Doctor Radio. I am your host, Dr. Yami, board-certified pediatrician, certified lifestyle medicine physician, certified health and wellness coach, author, speaker, mother, wife, and human being. I passionately believe in the power of diet, habits, and mindset in sparking and sustaining well-being and joy in our lives. This podcast combines expert interviews and thoughtful monologues to explore plant-based nutrition, lifestyle medicine, parenting, mindset, and other exciting and fun topics. I hope that these episodes inspire you, uplift you, and equip you with the knowledge and tools to live your best life. Are you ready to get started? Let's do it. Hello, veggie lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Veggie Doctor Radio. I am so pleased to be here with you today. Thank you so much for being a loyal listener and for hopping on to listen to this episode and this conversation with Dr. David Sabgir, who is the founder and CEO of Walk with a Doc. Before I tell you more about Dr. Sabgir, please let me remind you that the information on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not meant to replace careful evaluation and treatment. So if you have concerns about you or your child's eating, nutrition, or growth, please consult a doctor. Another little reminder, if you have not grabbed your free bean guide, Let's Eat Beans, you can find it at doctoryami.com/beans. That's doctoryami.com/beans. Download your free PDF. It's got tips, why we should eat more beans, how you should eat more beans, how to cook beans, and some fabulous recipes from other amazing plant-based doctors, dietitians, nutritionists, and other fabulous people in the plant-based space. And I think you're going to love it. So let me know what you think after you download it, if you found it useful, and share it with your friends and family, because I just want people to eat more beans, y'all. Health, well-being, longevity, joy. We can get that from beans. Okay, well, let's talk about Dr. David Sabgir, who is a full-time cardiologist in Columbus, Ohio, and the founding CEO of Walk with a Doc, an international nonprofit with a mission to inspire communities through movement and conversation. Walk with a Doc started in 2005 as David realized how critical physical activity was for his patients and how much it was lacking. While the program has now spread to over 550 communities in 37 countries, Dr. Sabgir continues to personally invite his patients to walk alongside him as the local Walk with a Doc leader. David has been honored to be a CNN hero and to see Walk with a Doc featured in print and broadcast media all over the world. The program has evolved to focus on not only physical activity, but also education, nature, and social connectedness. He absolutely loves Walk with a Doc and sees it as a critical next step in the care of our communities. He is married to Kristin with 2 children and 2 poodles. You're going to be so inspired by this physician with a huge heart. He has so much love. He is so passionate. He's so ambitious, but his ambition is an ambition of generosity. He wants to give back to the world by forming more of these Walk with a Doc chapters all over the world to touch and inspire more people to move and to connect. Well-being, longevity, and joy. We can do this together. So please listen to this episode, share it with those you love, talk about Walk with a Doc, find out if there is a Walk with a Doc chapter near you that you can join. If you're a healthcare professional and you want to start one, go to walkwithadoc.org and find out more. Thank you so much for everything that you do for your communities and for the love that you give to the world. And thank you so much for being here with me today. And now on to this conversation with Dr. David Sabgir. Dr. David Sabgir, thank you so much for joining me on Veggie Doctor Radio.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
Such a pleasure. I feel like you are a celebrity, and I want to get all into your story. So tell me about Walk with the Doc, how it started, what inspired you.
Not a celebrity, but definitely feel like one being here with you. So thank you. I'm a cardiologist in Ohio, and I had been very unsuccessful at motivating my patients to be physically active. So honestly, in a somewhat of a controlled fit of frustration, one day I asked a patient if they would join my family and I at the park for a walk. I wanted them to have to say no to my face. And that just led to this wonderful cascade of events that has made my life very fun and exciting for the last 16 years.
That's awesome. So why walking? Why was it that you thought of that and not something different?
We're trying to break down every barrier possible to physical activity, and to me, that was where we could probably get the greatest yield. Physical activity, as you know, Dr. Yami, is so critically important, and I was trying to instill it in as many patients and community members as possible.
Mm-hmm. And it's achievable, right? It's something we can do almost anywhere with very little equipment, inexpensive. And the one thing I love about walking too is the studies that show how we evolved as humans and how it's a community building activity, which I assume is something that you discovered when this impromptu walk started. So how did that evolve from inviting that one patient to building a nonprofit?
Yeah, you're exactly right. This was started with a simple effort to increase physical activity. And then we found that the social connection was, which we have known about as physicians, how important it was. We kind of fell into that and realized how critical that was. As far as becoming a nonprofit, there was, after I asked that first patient back in '04, there was kind of this magical coming together of community partners that wanted to help, and we figured that we were getting a lot of great advice from a lot of people, and that was something that kept rising to the surface, was we needed to make this a nonprofit.
That's great. I love how things evolve like that because you know it was meant to be when it becomes an effortless cascade of events. That's great.
You're exactly right.
So what is it about walking itself that's so health promoting? As a cardiologist, when you talk to your patients about physical activity, what do you specifically say about walking?
So as a cardiologist, walking is just absolutely imperative for a lot of reasons. A lot of the risk factors that contribute to coronary artery disease and therefore heart attacks and heart failure can be significantly treated or prevented, cured by walking. And that would be blood pressure. We can lower it quite a bit. We can lower our blood sugar and either take away diabetes or lower its risk. We can also increase our good cholesterol. And overall, we can lower heart attacks by 50% with 150 minutes of regular physical activity a week, and walking is enough. And then if they still are listening, I'll tell them about all the wonderful things as far as, reducing arthritis and Alzheimer's and just dozens of other diseases, including cancers.
Wow, it's so simple, yet it's so incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you state that very well. It's really quite ironic how the simplest things in life can have the most profound effects.
Yes. Well, are you able to share with us a favorite story or two about how the Walk with the Doc journey has positively impacted the lives of walkers?
Yeah, sure. One that comes to mind is, interestingly, not really associated with physical activity. I have a patient who has since passed away a couple years ago, who was um, a retired geneticist and pretty lonely, honestly. She um, would come to the walk and would walk, and developed a lot of great friendships there. And we do ours on Saturday mornings. And that was, very clear that that was a special time of the week for her. And even as she became ill, and this was in her late 80s, she would still come to walk with a doc. She would have, volunteers of the group would go pick her up, which was like 20 miles from our location, drive her, and she would sit in her wheelchair, bundled up. A lot of the days in Ohio, it was 30, 40 degrees at the start of the walk. And it was the sweetest thing to see the enjoyment she was getting. And we knew about the social connection prior to that, but that drove home like how we absolutely need it. From a physical activity standpoint, there's fortunate that there's so many, but I get as excited about, the woman who comes in who's carrying a lot of extra weight and is red-faced and sweaty and may have not made it a whole mile, but shows me her pedometer, and she made it 1,300 steps, and she asks if that's great. And those are, that's really special and important to me, and makes me so glad that so many great docs like yourself, that we're all in this together, doing it around the world.
Yeah, oh, that's so beautiful. And as you were telling the story about that geneticist, it made me think about the studies that we know that are specific to cardiology, even that loneliness and isolation increase our risk of heart disease. So there's so many benefits to this, not just like you were saying, the actual physical activity, moving your body, the actual blood flow, all that, but that heart connection that supports our heart health.
Exactly. Driven home all the more over the last 14 months, right, with the pandemic. And our walkers around the world are crying out to be back with each other. And I think the data is, as the data is at the earlier stages of coming out of how critically important this social connection is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what is your vision for the future of Walk with a Doc? It's already international. It's all over the world. It's growing, so exciting. What would you like to see happen?
It's very kind of you to say that. I'm very pleased with where we are, but I'm not content. Right now, we're about 580 chapters. I feel that due to the simplicity of setting it up, the passion for us as doctors to be a part of it, as the community to participate in it, that if we don't hit 5,000 sites, I honestly feel like I'll have dropped the ball. So what's swimming around in my head right now, we've had a lot of great discussions with the World Health Organization. And, internationally, the program is free. We're having great talks with Kenya and a lot of other countries on mass deployment of the walk. So that's where my head's at. I really feel that I want these number of chapters to go up, because I know that with every chapter, we average 20, 25 people per site. And with that, we are getting that many more people that are avoiding not only heart disease, that's only a small part of it, but as we discussed, cancer, and getting connected and not being a part of this loneliness epidemic. So the drive is to get those numbers up because of what we've seen this do in the communities that have the walk right now.
Mm. I love that. I love your ambition and your drive to make this even bigger. And what came to mind whenever you were talking about how it's not just about cardiology is what I always say, which is well-being, longevity, and joy, which is what we all want. We just want to feel good, and we want to live a long, healthy life. So this is a step towards helping people achieve that, is to create more of these chapters where we can all come together, enjoy a walk, move our bodies, and just bond. That's so beautiful. But speaking of community, what have you learned about building community, how to make these chapters healthy and attract people to them with Walk with the Doc and through these 14 years of experience that you've had, or 16 years of experience?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we need to do a much better job. We focus on breaking down barriers, and we've I think done a decent job at that. We need to focus more on equality and diversity, and that's our number one driving point right now. Is the way it's set up is we're getting doctors contact us and go to a park that's close to their house, right? Mm-hmm. So that is not that is great, and we need to keep that channel flowing because it's helping a lot of people. What we need to do a better job, and we've got some good examples of this, but not enough, is hitting underserved areas that have been marginalized and left out. And ideally, we want these doctors and med students and residents and attendings to go to areas where people can walk out of their house, be together, and enjoy the camaraderie and of being around each other. I've said before, and I feel it's appropriate to say now, I've been fortunate to be part of about 500 Walk with a Doc events, and there have been more than a few, just throwing a number, maybe 10%, where I did not feel like driving 15 miles to go to the park and I was tired or whatever. But I have never left, I can say confidently, never left a Walk with a Doc event and not felt so fulfilled, so happy, so grateful that I dragged my butt out of bed to be there. And we need everyone to feel that way. You stated it beautifully a couple minutes ago, with joy. And myself, our team, our doctors are willing to lie down on the tracks to make that happen. There's too much good that can come from us being together and getting moderate physical activity. And by the way, as you know, walking is just as good as running, and there's plenty of, I like to run actually as well. There's plenty of data that walking is just as good. So we're just really bent on getting it out there.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. It's just like a lot of things we do in life that we may think about it and we're like, I don't feel like doing that today. But then afterwards, we are so glad we did it. And so I am very grateful for all the people that make the commitment to lead these walks and to attend these walks to keep them going. But I hear you on that, because I also live in a community. My community is considered rural, but there's parts of the community where there's still not great access to things, not access to fresh foods and groceries and good parks and places where people can walk and feel safe walking. So trying to bring these walks to places where everybody can access them, people of different socioeconomic statuses, ethnic backgrounds can access the walks and build these communities, I think is a beautiful vision to have. So tell me about
Thank you. I don't know if it's
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. I don't know if it's necessary. It's something that needs done. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. As a cardiologist, tell me about working in the office. And I know that modern medicine, I'm a physician as well. Modern medicine is very fast paced, and we have to write prescriptions and we have to do testing and things like that. But do you get time to spend with people talking about lifestyle changes, diet, and things like that? And what do you say to them?
Yeah, we have to spend time doing that, because it's the crux of a lot of the stuff we're dealing with. So I know a common mantra among physicians is, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. They're squeezing the spots in, but it doesn't take a lot of time. And a lot of times we're seeing the patient for the second, third, or, a multiple of times, and a lot of this stuff has been discussed. So, um, you know, uh, it's a great question. And once we've addressed blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, coronary disease, maybe stroke, heart failure, um, and people are smart, they catch on right away. Then we want to get into some of the other things. And, as far as weight loss, that's definitely part of it. And we encourage modest weight loss, 5 to 10% in our patients that are carrying excess weight. And but I care more about weight's important, but to me it's what leads to the weight loss. So it's eating a diet. I love Michael Pollan's. I love to keep things simple. Um, Michael Pollan has a great line when people ask me about diets. 7 words: eat food, not too much, mostly plants. So I think as a patient myself, and everything, it gets too complicated,
Hmm.
and it can be as simple as those 7 words. So I like that. And then also, just to simplify, physical activity, walking 20 or 30 minutes most every day of the week, shooting for 150 minutes. And then, some people that may bring their body weight down to a normal body mass index or normal ratio, and other people that won't. But as long as they're doing those things, that's what makes me happy and content, and really satisfied as a practitioner. Um, we have postcards with a bunch of smiling faces on it that we hand out for Walk with a Doc. It's really bummed me out over the last 14 months. We haven't been able to do that because we haven't been able to get together. That's fortunately now going away soon. But I'll spend 5 seconds inviting them to Walk with a Doc on Saturday. And that makes me feel, as a physician, I drive home feeling more complete. It makes everything better. And I hope our docs feel that way too, where you've just added another dimension of care.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you focus on the habits and behaviors because I think that's really important in this day and age when we are so weight focused and our diet culture in America. And it throws people off the path because there's so many things you can do to lose weight that aren't necessarily health promoting. So to say,
Right.
hey, let's eat more plants, let's move our bodies more, let's decrease our stress, let's connect, and then we'll see what the body does when we do those things. We'll see what the body does when we try to optimize our lifestyles because that really is helping the insides of our bodies become healthier, our blood vessels and our heart, and decrease our blood sugar. So I love how you point that out as a physician because I think that that's very supportive for patients and it helps them feel like it's more achievable as well.
Oh, good. Thank you for saying that.
What do you feel in your experience is the biggest barrier to lifestyle change for your patients and for people in general?
There's so many of them right now. I talked a moment ago about driving my car home. I have to because the roads aren't safe for bikes and the path is under repair. Otherwise, I would. But I think that I think that we're a society that requires cars. Unfortunately, too much, at least where I live. And I think there's so many things, unfortunately, but um, it's getting easier to eat plant-based as far as the options. I love your videos. I just saw the Taco Bell and I love it. There's a lot of options that weren't there 5 years ago. So that's getting better, but it's still a little tough. It's There's so many temptations. The sugar addiction is crazy. When you walk through the grocery stores, it's just sugar left, right, up, down, everywhere. It's tough. It's really tough, and people have time constraints, and with the stresses out there, and coming from every angle, a lot of people will choose food as comfort, and so there are definitely challenges, but I am confident that we can do it together. And maybe the operative word is together, that we can get out of this epidemic of sedentary lifestyle.
Yes. And what I hear you mention a lot is just our environment, our built environment, what we have around us, the roads, the way our communities are spread apart, the grocery stores, the restaurants. But also, I feel like the way that Walk with the Doc fits into that is that it creates a healthy part of our environment. We're going to create a structure. We're going to create this walk. We're going to bring people together, and that helps to crowd out the other parts of the environment that may not be as health promoting. So, that's part of that whole blue zones mentality of how can we change the environment around us to be one that what we see, what we hear, what we smell is health promoting instead of everything being like tempting us in the direction that's not necessarily as health promoting for our bodies.
So true.
So I love the Walk with the Doc newsletter. Do you write those yourself? Because they are incredibly hilarious.
Oh, that is really, honestly, that's the best compliment I get is on the newsletter. I do write them. And I say that because, as you know, anything you throw out there anymore, you're going to get feedback from both sides. So I feel like I write them on Thursday nights for the most part. And every time I do, I feel like I'm sticking my neck on a chopping block, getting ready. So I feel like every time I hear something as wonderful as what you just said, and thank you, it's like a stay of execution. So that means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Thank you, Dr.
No, they're so funny. And every time I read one, I'm thinking, I'm really glad you have the outlet of writing the newsletter, because I can imagine your wife and your family, if you don't have that to write, you're going to put it on them, right? And they're going to be like, okay, here we go again.
You know me. This is one of the few times we met, and you know me so well.
Have you ever done stand-up comedy?
No, I've not. I just read a great book. I'm blanking on the name of it. It was this really heroic woman that, the book's called Sorry I'm Late, I Did Not Want to Come. Oh. And it's got, she went out and did stand up, and she was so brave. She did so many brave things. I don't have that bravado, but thank you. Yeah.
Well, maybe someday you can push yourself out of your comfort zone and we can go watch you do stand-up comedy, because I would go. I think it would be hilarious.
That's very kind of you.
Well,
you motivated me to write tonight's newsletter.
Oh, yay. I love it. I can't wait to read it. Okay. So what would be your wildest dream come true for the world?
It's climate change is on my mind right now. And stick with me for a second, because I realize it's a 90-degree turn, but just reading Bill Gates' book and realizing how dire the situation is. If I could do one thing right now, that would be it. I'm trying to figure out how, just so we can all be around for a lot longer. This is all stuff I haven't even totally shared with my team yet, but we want to focus this year on diversity, equality, and inclusion. That is number one. And then as we work with that, we want to figure out a way to get into the realm of climate change. And that's part of, this is all like back of my head stuff, but that's part of getting to the 5,000 chapters or more, is so we can develop this army of incredible physician leaders like we have now that can affect real big change and attack these very critical issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all related, it's all connected, and it leads to something so much bigger. That well-being, that longevity, that joy, we can't have that if we don't have a planet, So it's really important to be able to protect the planet that we live on for our physical health as well, the pollution and everything around us. So it is very, very important, and we have to be thinking big picture in order to truly support the health of the people on this planet. That reminds me to just, have you guys ever had a Walk with a Doc conference?
We have not. I want to so bad, Dr. Yami. We were getting close to planning. We're a real small operation, but it's something that we are aiming for. We're just not there yet.
Well, because when you said the word army, I'm thinking we need a big conference. Because you know how you go to conference and you get, you just get work, you're just like fired up. You're ready. And then disseminate. It's like, Captain Planet. He's the hero. Okay. Anyway, on to the next question. We could do it after the pandemic fades away. Then it'll be time to plan the Walk with the Doc conference for the future.
Sounds good. I'm all for it.
What do you wish more people knew?
The power of simple physical activity. If it's, I don't care if it's walking or biking or swimming or whatever people like to do, but just moving our bodies. It's not a small thing as far as the effects. It affects dozens. We've got a newsletter we put out of the 100 reasons to go for a walk. And, when one simple activity like eating, a diet high in fruits and vegetables, when one simple activity that if you think of it as a medicine, as we've all heard this analogy, the side effects are joy and happiness, and it feels good. So I wish everyone knew what one little thing that actually makes you feel better can cause all these downstream or immediate benefits.
Yes, beautiful. Well, I'd love to know what personal habit you're most proud of and why.
Personal habit I'm most proud of and why. I think it's, I had not thought about this. I think it's putting my family first. There's a lot of, being at work all day as a physician, and then having the honor of working with the walk. There's a lot of side streets, avenues you can go down and get really enwrapped. But I have two children. They're both, in college, and they've, we were fortunate that we got to see them more over the last year, but trying to constantly think of how I can try and make their lives better. And with my wife, just putting her first and understanding that with, almost 2 careers, that there's going to be, she's not getting her, probably what she signed up for. So trying to make sure that I am doing that job. And I think I check in a lot. I think I'm doing it well. I can always do it better, but long-winded answer, what I'm most proud of.
No, I love it. I think you're the first person that's ever said that. And I think it is very hard because as a physician, as a leader, there's so many competing demands and there's so many competing passions. There's so much to be excited about and have fun with. But if we don't focus on the things that truly are priorities in our life, I think we will have regrets. And so that does take mindfulness. It takes thoughtfulness. And it honestly, it just takes editing, what I call life editing. Some seasons we're just going to be a little out of balance, and that's just going to be the way it is,
Yeah.
So then the next season we're like, okay, how can we rearrange? How can we spend a little bit more time here because we spent less time there the other season? And we just go with the flow, the ebbs and the flows of life. But I love how you have that in the front of your mind, and I know that your wife appreciates it. I am also a wife. I know how that goes. So
Well, I love I love life editing. That's great. That's great.
Well, Dr. Sabgir, this has been really great. Tell me how listeners can connect with you, and most of all, how we can support Walk with a Doc.
Oh, thank you. So our website's walkwithadoc.org. Our on there, you can get a hold of me at david@walkwithadoc.org, or contact@walkwithadoc.org goes to our whole team. Let us know how we can help. Please, if when people are thinking of starting Walk with a Doc in their community, whether the community already has it or not, there's always room for more. We have a very robust scholarship program. We find, as you can imagine, it's a lot harder to find a dedicated leader like yourself than it is to find dollars. You have nothing to lose. If you're considering starting it, take a swing, and I think you'll be pretty happy with the turnout.
And if you go to the website, for listeners that want to participate in walks, you can find where there's a walk near you. If there's not a walk near you, then try to get one started. And there's also the Walk with the Future Doc for the med students out there, that they're awesome. They're very excited and energetic. That's why I like being around them, because they infuse me with that youthfulness and energy. So that's really cool too, that program that you have.
Oh, it's so great. Dr. Joan Dorner used to be with the CDC and then went to CUNY in Harlem. Has been a real leader for that. We're up to 40 some med schools now, and there's countless reasons why that makes me incredibly happy. As you know, the students go on to be residents, and most of them bring the walk with them to their new community, and then attendings. And as you said, these students are so passionate, they're so smart, they're so caring, and it just makes me smile.
Yes.
It's a great thing.
Yes, and then they can pass down the legacy and just keep that cycle going. Well, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me and to share your experience with my listeners. If you can just leave us with one call to action for the week, what is one thing we can do this week to incorporate more walking into our routines?
So just do something little. We all hear it: take the stairs, park the car a little bit further away. It all adds up, and it adds up fast.
Awesome. Dr. David Sabgir, thank you so much for joining me on A Walk with a Doc. Thank you for everything you do. I'm so grateful, and I hope that you have a very plantastic day.
Thank you. You are just awesome. This has been the best part of my week. Great to talk with you.
Thank you. Hey, veggie lover. I hope that you loved today's episode. Will you take a second and do me a huge favor? Please subscribe to my podcast so that you never miss an episode. You're the reason I'm here, and I want to share it all with you. Thank you for listening, and have a plantastic day.